Speaking of the butterfly effect, it's astounding how one seemingly minor trend can snowball into a total shift in society. Idiocracy argued that the tendency for people falling off the left side of the bell curve to have more children would lead to a universal loss of intelligence. However ridiculously absurd the end result was, the initial idea is thought-provoking. One small change in behavior could upend the world as we know it, which is a large reason why the concept of time travel has fascinated audiences for over a century. Literature, film, video games, even entire television series have been dedicated to rewriting the timeline. One reason for the popularity is that the concept adds a new facet to the ripple effect. People have long recognized the potential for a small rock strategically dropped on a still pond to generate great waves. You know, metaphorically speaking, because, well, great waves would take more like a single boulder. Yeah, it would. Alright, let's talk about boulder drop theory. Similar to the butterfly effect, where a small change in one element causes exponentially increasing results, boulder drop theory states that a sudden massive change in one element causes immediate paradigm shifting effects, with resulting changes further along having lesser impacts as time goes on. This principle isn't as well known as the flutterby phenomenon, but in both fiction and non-fiction capacities, it's well documented. The Black Death, Hiroshima, half of Lynyrd Skynyrd dying in a plane crash, the list goes on. Fiction loves this principle, with certain writers, such as Joss Whedon, becoming famous for dropping boulders on their own characters with increasing frequency. Why? Why did Wash have to die, Joss? Why? A variation on this concept is the timed boulder, one that will drop on a specific day unless the characters act in a certain way to prevent it. On the topic of Judgment Day, let's talk about Terminator 2. The first in James Cameron's Can Do No Wrong trilogy, Terminator 2 is arguably the best movie sequel ever made, with timeless performances, both dramatic and robotic, and a real message to convey. It may be a bit formula, but instead of suffering from it, it uses the well-established storytelling structure to allow for a surprising character development, even from Arnold. Despite technically being an action film, the waves it generated from its initial drop continue to sway viewers even 20 years later. So why is that? Well, let's wade closer to the stone and investigate. The film opens on a camera's final moments, filming typical between rush hour traffic on the LA freeway. Wait, why am I doing a scene by scene? It's Terminator 2. If you haven't seen it by now, you don't want to see it. And if that's the case, then why are you watching this review? I mean, thank you for the click, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be bored if you never got up the gumption to go and watch Arnold Schwarzenegger be Arnold Schwarzenegger. This plot centers around the exploits of the T-101, the same model robot from the first film that nearly killed key player number 2, Sarah Connor. There's also a prototype T-1000 and a prototype 90s kid. All the characters are introduced quickly but not rushed, so by the first half hour in, the audience is familiar with their individual characteristics and goals. You know, character might be a strong word for the Terminators, since they're more like a presence than anything else. And while it's a subtle difference, it's worth elaborating on, so let's bring someone in. DM?
You're seriously asking me if you can get a lightsaber for every claw on your royal frilled dragon hatchling? Seriously? Oh, double-bladed! Oh, well. that just changes everything. Hey, look, an interruption.
Happy to interrupt.
So what brings you here?
Terminator 2.
Wow, we're really doing this again?
What?
What? You know damn well what! Last time we roleplayed Terminator, this fool not only killed Sarah Connor twice, but you somehow managed to impregnate Kyle Reese, who gave birth to Skynet! I have no idea how that happened!
Huh. I did, didn't I? Go me. But no. We're reviewing Terminator 2.
Oh, thank God. Oh, I was really worried there that you actually wanted to roleplay that, and I'd have to put up with something like, I don't know, you guys making dice in some sort of hybrid of the T-1000, and I could not handle that. So what do you need me for?
I need you to explain why the Terminators aren't characters.
That is an interesting challenge. I accept. Characters interact with the story. Their mere presence influences the plot and sways it down one path or another. The Terminators, however, are not consciously making any sort of choices. They are simply responding to program priorities facilitated by either Skynet or the resistance to enact changes in the past based on the other's reasonings.
So, just free will makes a person?
Well, no, because if that was true, I mean, who would man all the toll booths? Free will just simply defines the difference between a character and a device. As much as this term is tossed around, the Terminators really are plot devices. I mean, They're sent back from the future to fight a war for the real characters, but unlike bad plot devices, they are quite fun to watch, even if they make a few mistakes that I take personal issues with.
Mistakes like what?
Why would Arnold try to shoot a mechanical pursuer who can shift his body at will in the chest?
He's programmed that way.
So, they're smart enough to capture and reprogram a T-101, but they're not smart enough to include the software that says, hey, when an unstoppable pursuer is after you, shoot them in the legs.
And I rebut that with, what does this have to do with sociology?
Sociology? Oh, nothing. This has really been bugging the crap out of me for some time now.
That makes sense. Thank you for the explanation and the tangent, DM.
You know me. Helped you this long, why would I help you any further? Anyway, I got a doozy saved up for later. I gotta do something about these lightsabers. So, I guess my response would be the Darth Vader response.
So the two plot devices catch up to John and duel for him. One action scene later, and the young boy is suddenly forced to reconsider his mother's crazy stories about killer robots and future destiny things. Speaking of the future, how does that whole future leader of the rebellion thing pan out now that John knows that's what he's going to be? Is he going to get all cocky because he knows he's going to be awesome? And also, about that whole time travel thing, when someone is sent back into the past, do the changes in the future immediately happen, or does it have to wait for the actions to have actually occurred in the time of the... You know, this whole time travel thing really needs a thorough examination.
Socio, hello, is you there? Abacus, it still ain't working, yo! Let's try painting it white!
Kelvin? Oh, God.
Oh, good. Yo, hey, no need for the paint no more. I got it.
Thanks for dropping by. Why are you here?
You know, I was here to explain the time traveling, you know? Who else gonna do it?
Well, yeah, but I was going to page the DM again, because he's actually on contract with me, and we haven't negotiated anything yet, and...
No, man. He busy tripping the rift, yo. not that I know that because of the restraining order and all.
Restraining order. Can't say I blame the guy. How did you survive that gunfire, anyway?
Oh. That's easy, yo. Plus one armor.
I'm probably going to regret this, but explain time travel.
Well, you see, the way it is in the Tin Soldier universe is like the future is like the clay, and Skynet is like the big clay monster that sends the Tin Man back in time to get crushed, and BAM! Skynet's created with like the big old fangs and hunter-killer droids.
But how could Skynet send back the first Terminator if it itself wasn't created until that Terminator was sent back?
Oh, you know, parallel time movement.
Huh?
It's like the Men in Black cartoon, you know. Our time is the past, and the future time is the now time. We act within our time to save the events of the future time that act out in the real future time. It's so simple.
Are you in professor mode right now?
Oh, you don't need a doctor to talk about time travel. The internet proves that. Anyway, parallel time movement means that like the present of one timeline moves steadily and continuously unabated by any skips forward or back. Therefore, any changes that happen only affect the real-time situation of the perceived present.
Yeah, okay, still confused here. If that's the whole reason why Skynet existed, then how could it cause its own creation without its own influence in the first place?
It's the future. Anything's possible.
That is not an argument, but okay, fine. Anything's possible in the future. What about the past?
Oh yeah, anything's possible there too. Just ask my homeboy Tesla.
Alright then, explain Sarah Connor's pregnancy.
You see, when a man and a perm in the 80s love each other very much.
Not that part. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese copulated in 1984. Terminator 2 takes place in 1995, making John Connor a maximum of 11 years old during the events of the movie.
Yeah, and?
An 11-year-old is riding his motorcycle through LA traffic, and no one has a problem with this. Not a one.
Cause he the epitome of the badass 90s kid. All hail King Connor!
I don't even know why I try with you. Bye, Kelvin.
Oh, hold on! I forgot to tell you.
What?
Tesla hooked me up with a time machine, yo. I have a message for you. From the future.
Oh, I'm listening, regardless of how pointless this is gonna be.
Move one step to the left.
Why?
Well, you know, because it's from the future.
Seriously, Kelvin, I don't care. I'm just trying...
Well, I done told you. Now you stuck in a barrel.
Thank you again, Kelvin.
That's no problem, trash can ass. No problem. Wait a minute, wait a minute. You were supposed to miss your trash can! It's a damn paradox! Snake! Snake! Snake!
Well, now that the technicalities of time travel are clear, let's forget that point and move on to social things, like the Terminator's mission objective.
Where are we going?
We have to get out of the city immediately and avoid the authorities.
Shortly after saying this, he causes a scene with John and nearly executes 2 random people who intervene. Low profile, avoid authorities, and murder anyone who talks to the boy. That sounds like a conflicting set of priorities. John causes an even bigger scene when he brings the Terminator along to save his mother, the one trapped in the psych ward and is told she's hallucinating these killer robots from the future. I'm sure the rescue will go well.
No!
Apparently there's some lingering trauma from the last android that tried to kill her. Don't care today. Let's talk about Sarah Connor. The weight of all the change she knows coming drove her to drastic action, which led everyone to assume she's insane. Yet it's everyone's continued disbelief that only reaffirms her own idea that her and her son are the only ones that could save the future. While not technically insane, she has become a fanatic for her own cause, so much so that any restriction society puts on her is considered moot to her own actions. Ayn Rand has finally found her perfect objectivist disciple. She is so driven to do the right thing for the future that, without so much as a note to her son, she takes off to track down and kill Miles Dyson, the computer tech who unintentionally allows for Skynet's creation. Her actions are so automated to her cause that Terminator music starts playing when Sarah approaches Dyson's house, showing her loss of humanity in the goal to save humanity. The only thing missing from her walk to complete the Terminator look is shrugging off bullets as she strolls.
I told you, your weapons have no effect on me.
It is my considered advice that you discontinue your use of said weapon.
And like a mindless machine, she hasn't thought through this cure for Skynet very well. The solution of kill all progress with computer technicians isn't really gonna fly. Even if she did assassinate Dyson, later people would carry on his work.
The small man you just insulted waves his hands and... Oh! Your dragon hatchling is transformed into a halfling! Oh no! Now you're a halfling! Sorry. Alright then, where was I?
Hi, DM.
Ah yes! The great Cthulhu of the series, Dr. Miles Bennett Dyson.
Wait, I was getting there. Don't interrupt yet.
Yeah, because nobody ever interrupts anybody on this show.
Fine, have at.
Sarah tracks down the good doctor. Stalking up the grass after missing a sniper shot, she walks in menacingly, puts them all on the floor at gunpoint, and then simply drops a copy of iRobot and leaves. Or at least, that's what I would have done.
Yeah, actually that would fix the whole problem. Just teach the principles of a guiding hand instead of kill or be killed.
Can you please not derail my point?
Don't mean to wreck your train, just finishing my point.
And now you have. Good job! You get 50 experience.
Sweet! My first experience gain in months!
Dyson's work directly leads to the genocide of society by a race of sentient machines. In the original course of the timeline, he is a footnote, just the creator of the being which took its own path quickly after spawning. After knowing the consequences of his actions, he's faced with a choice. And in the end, he makes sure his work will never be responsible for any human deaths other than his own.
And that drives home the core message of the franchise. There is no fate but what we make.
Well, yeah, that was the original message, and a good message it was. But no! Apparently Judgment Day is going to happen no matter what we do!
DM, what are you doing?
And, you know, they just go along and they just upend everything that the first 2 movies established with that god-awful...
Are you trying to invoke a name which derailed the franchise so badly it took an awesome television show to make up for its mere existence?
But you forget, it's canon. Terminator Salvation makes direct reference to it. It's there forever. And like pregnant Kyle Reese, it will never escape my mind.
It never happened. You must have had a fever dream.
Much like you guys killing Sarah Connor twice, that movie was nothing but a parody of everything good and decent that series ever brought to us.
Thank you, DM. It was a pleasure as always. Fever dream.
So, you can't just... You know what? You're absolutely right. You're right. It's just better forgotten. Just like Sailor Jesus.
Dyson owns the fact that he is responsible for the consequences of his actions, regardless of their innocent intentions. You know, this movie masters being preachy without preaching. All the moral messages are wrapped up in action or driving scenes, and the characters are growing and developing without dumping exposition all over us. This film is one long love letter to the human variable winning the day despite insurmountable odds, and it left people with hope, as well as awesome practical effects and impressive CGI. That's why it's lived on in the cultural memory the way it has. This film gives us hope that a select few people will be able to make a difference in the world, and that we can make a difference in our own future. Remember, there is no fate but what we make, because the third one never happened. I'm the other Socio, and I don't have a sign-off. Sweet! My first experience gained in months!